I'm Zane, Zane Engineer's Life. Today we've got Brown Muindi. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Muindi.
Where are you at right now?
I go to Clemson University.
Where is your family living, or where were you living before going to Clemson?
Before I was going to Clemson, we're in state, so we live like right around the Charlotte area.
Okay.
Yep.
So you're close to in-state. Are you south of Charlotte? Are you in South Carolina?
Yeah, South Carolina.
Gotcha. My ex-wife, her whole family's big Clemson grads. My son was actually going to go to Clemson for mechanical engineering, but they didn't send him a damn penny, and he got a full ride at Mississippi State. So that's where he's going now.
Yeah.
He's a junior over there. What are you studying, Brown?
I'm currently doing computer science.
Okay, computer science. Awesome. What is it you want to do in the world?
That's what I'm focusing on right now, deciding. But I do know a lot of the things that I enjoy about life, like, can be like summarized just here, like having great connections with people in my life and having fun activities, trying new things. And that's the kind of world I want to build for myself. But what I want to do in the world, I want to make some big changes. Especially like storytelling wise. I want to create a company at some point where I get to help people tell stories or tell stories just in general to inspire the next generation.
And by stories, you mean like stories of life, stories of fiction, stories of opportunity, like.
I want to use a bunch of different mediums too, whether that's video games, whether that's shows or books. I want to build a company that just allows like all the knowledge that I can gather up to be passed on to the next generation. But yeah, it'll change. It'll change.
So what kind of put you on track to do that? Tell me about your parents, tell me about your family, tell me about your background for a second.
So my background, I was born in Kenya, but we moved to the US when I was 3. So I lived in Ohio for most of my childhood, and then I don't know. I was always kind of a happy kid. I don't really feel the negative emotions as much as other people do. I don't get stressed. I don't, feel worried. Um, I've always been like closer to like the top of my class, but I've never really worried about that. And then I've always been curious, just to learn more stuff. Um,
What do your parents do?
my dad is he's currently helping a company called Rome manage their sales division across the um, US, Mexico, and Canada. And then
Okay.
my mom is a data scientist.
Okay. So you guys do
Mhm.
pretty well. You got brothers, sisters, big family?
Yeah, I've got a little brother.
Okay.
He's only,
How
he's
old's,
only,
how old's little bro?
he's only 10.
Okay.
He's still
So he's just getting started. Now you got to build a hero for him to follow and all this kind of things. I saw in your post, so you found me on the Fastlane forum, and good of you for reaching out and taking advantage of the opportunity that we have today to talk some. I know you got a lot of questions for me, but I like to kind of dig into people's backgrounds, see what motivates them, and see what I can do to help them get where they're trying to get. So that's where a lot of my questions came from. But I saw you said my dad gave me Rich Dad, Poor Dad, 4 Hour Work Week, and First to a Million, and then you found Millionaire Fastlane, came to the Fastlane forum.
Yep.
So where are you at in school? You're freshman? Like, how far are you in?
I'm a freshman right now. Yeah.
Okay, you're a freshman. How many side hustles and businesses you got going?
Currently, I have none. I
Okay.
have.
So you've taken all of the Rosetta Stone Keys to Life books that could help you shape and do everything that you've ever wanted to do and totally ignored them and not done anything with them?
Essentially, yes.
Okay, cool. All right. So at least you're there. And your parents probably do really well, so you don't have any want for anything, and you're not starving, and you don't have a lot of pressure on you, and you don't have to like, make it for your family or anything like that. So your advantage is actually a strong disadvantage for you doing something amazing, right? I've
Yes.
got students that I've talked to before, they watched their home burn to the ground before they moved to the US. They had nothing to go back to. So now they come here and they're absolutely going to crush it, right? They're going to be the first one for their family to ever go to college. They're going to be the first one to ever do anything for their family and maybe become the one that gets them over the hump, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let me throw that at you for a second. So your dad and your mom are doing really well, and I don't know what the legacy is if there were people that did well before that. What's keeping you from doing even more?
So for me, doing more, I think I overanalyze. I'm currently at a space where I'm trying to be, well, I am self-aware of myself, and I'm overanalyzing the opportunities that I have, and I'm trying to evaluate the opportunity cost between taking one road or another. And I
Sure.
think that's me back. So
How's the how's the imposter syndrome?
the imposter syndrome, I feel that once I decide like I don't need a specific, but like once I decide what I want to do, then I'm gonna go crush it. Like
Okay.
I'm not scared of being like an imposter in my field. I know that everyone here who's succeeding, they didn't feel that they were gonna succeed at first. You know, they took a wild guess and just went with it, and they've succeeded. You know, they built
100%.
themselves up as they were doing it. So
Gotcha. Do you have history in your background of when you put your full being into something that you do crush it?
I'm also very bad in the memory department, so when I get asked questions about my history, it is a little challenging. For me,
Well, now hang on. That's not true. Okay. That's like those people that say, I'm not good at remembering names. It's because you haven't chosen to be good at remembering names. It's because you're lazy. It's because you haven't used the techniques and tools that you can use to remember names. And I'll just give you an example. I used to be absolutely horrible at remembering your name, even when you told me a few moments ago. Okay. I was at a business conference 2 weeks ago where I gave the final toast at the end of the entire conference, at the end of the big dinner that we had. There were almost 50 people, and I went name by name, person by person, having met half of them just within the last few days, talked about what they were doing, what they were going to do next, challenged them for what they were trying to do. Right. So it's choosing to do those things. So when you say, I don't have a good memory, that's not true. You have a great memory. You remember lots of stuff.
you choose into that with that
You're just
memory.
using that as some excuse, right?
Uh-huh.
You know what's going on. You know, I mean, you're a good student. You come from a good family. You come from good stock. You've got good opportunity. You're literally set up to take over the world. And now you're trying to analyze and figure out what path to take that's optimum and perfect instead of just getting out there and doing, right? Is that kind of where you're at? Okay.
Yeah.
That kind of how we're coming into the conversation?
I mean, I like over the past 2 days, I've mainly been trying to dig down to like what are my core beliefs, like what are my core roots. If I get that understanding, I feel like I'll never be an entrepreneur who like crumbles, you know, under pressure.
Sure.
Because I've got exactly why I'm doing this, and I can always go back to it anytime I need to, kind of thing. So that's really like defining what identity means and where I am with that. Because one quote I've found that's really powerful is the only thing I know is that I know nothing, right? And if that's true, then you've got to start questioning what have you learned, why do you believe it, and is it something that you should keep as part of yourself, kind of thing.
Brown, how old are you?
18.
Okay. So you're 18 years old. You're just starting college. You've got 100 years ahead of you at least. And you think you need to have all of this figured out. Most 30-year-olds don't have anything figured out. I'm 52 at the end of this year, and I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. Right. For you guys in the 18 to 24 range, okay, you're eat up with imposter syndrome. You're trying to optimize. You're trying to make things perfect. You're trying to do like the game where you find the cheat code or the perfect path or the perfect algorithm to get the highest score. When in reality, just get the hell out there and play the game, right? Because you have all these things that you think are true or you've been told or your family has put into you or the roots and people that are around you have put into you. And it's time to get out there and test them. Because a lot of them you'll find are bullshit, right? They were just things somebody told you and they don't have any basis in reality. They were just something they told a kid to keep going or they had heard before, right? So you're pretty smart. You're working in computer science. You're at a really good school. It's time to get out there and start testing these theories, right? It's time to go fail miserably as fast and often as possible. The only thing you need right now are battle scars. The only thing you need is, how do I find out what not to do, right? How do I push myself to failure over and over again? That could be in life, that could be in the gym, that can be with friends, that could be in businesses, that could be in your major, that could be all those things, right? It's how do I push enough and give myself enough pressure and enough opportunity to fail and embrace that, right?
Yes.
Because the only way to truly max out in the gym is to go to failure, right? So why don't we apply that same principle to business and life and everything else that we do? Especially, so you have an advantage in that you have time to recover, right? If I'm 80 years old and just starting a business and it has to feed my family, I have zero options mentality. I have no other choice. Like, it's got to work, right? I can't take massive risks. I have to do things that are safe and convenient. Like, watch people that retire. They pull their money out of the stock market because there's too much risk, and they put it in T-bills, which have little to no risk. Of course, who knows with what's going on right now, but they get a lower return, but it's much safer and much lower risk. You're 18. Take moonshots, man, right? Literally throw the dice as often as possible. Find any way that you can to jack something up royally, because the cool part is you only need to be right once.
Yeah.
Right? You only need to hit that lottery ticket one time. But if you don't have the ticket, you're never going to win. So you want to buy as many and get as many tickets as you can. You want as many. You read the Millionaire Fastlane and MJ's books. He talks about the gumball machine and trying to get that gold gumball. Right? You got to turn that handle as many times as possible. So for you, I think it's less about figuring out the optimum path, and it's what path interests me or what opportunity do I have in front of me right now, and let me go fail miserably at it. Let me go apply my skill set of being really good at things and getting things done and making sure that I do the best that I possibly can that you've used prior in your life, and just apply them to different things over and over, with one caveat. Don't go too deep before you don't mind backing up to the last fork in the road, right? Like, you're 18. You don't have to take everything out for 6 years to see if it worked, right? Because you have no idea what the hell you're doing, and you probably don't have a really big network of business minds around you yet, right?
Yeah.
And if you took the 5 people you hang out with the most, how many of those are multimillionaires?
None.
Okay. So there you go. You don't have a basis, so you've got to go out and find out. You've got to go over the ridge and see if there's something that's going to kill us. You got to go over the ridge and see if there's water. You got to go over the ridge and see if there's food, and then come back and tell the other guy so that everybody can get together and go make that happen, right? But until you get up on the hill where you can see, you've got no idea what you can do.
I do feel like I'm spread thin at the moment. I'm a freshman, but I'm trying to find opportunities all around campus. So I've joined multiple clubs. I've dropped a couple already. I'm part of the leadership division of some of them. One of them being an entrepreneurship club that I'll be helping out next semester going on. We have this thing called the Launchpad at Clemson, where essentially entrepreneurs can buy. It's run by entrepreneurs, for entrepreneurs, and budding entrepreneurs too. I took a class there, and I just tried and
talk to your professor in your club and see if you can get me on a call with you guys.
It's not run by a professor. It was actually started by
any entrepreneur or business classes. See if they'd like me to talk with you guys for half an hour and answer questions. And then the same thing with any of your clubs. Like, I'd love to come in and talk to you guys and do what we're going to do in a minute, which is I'll just open the floor and you just hammer me with questions.
Okay.
Right? I've done it a bunch of times. It's really cool for me and for them, and it puts out some good content for guys like you to find later on, so that for years and years from now we're still helping people.
Yeah.
All right, you ready to hammer me?
Yeah. Let me get up my questions.
All right, Brown. How can I help you? What questions do you have?
Okay. Well, let's start with how did you go about what is your story? What is your story, Zane?
Oh, you don't want to hear my story. My story's way too long. It's out there on other videos.
Okay.
What's your actual question? You had a couple good ones that you threw at me in the chat before.
So, from what moments changed your trajectory, and how did you perceive them, in your story?
Good question. Mm-hmm. Good question. So it's back to gathering experiences, right? So my dad built houses, and so I did really well in school. My dad was pretty smart. Mom was pretty smart. Both were first college educated people in their family. He built houses. I got to work on crews with people who weren't doing well, people who, they would work all week, go to the bar, get thrown in jail, get bailed out, start over again the next week. They lived in their car. We'd have to bail them out of jail to finish a house and stuff like that. So I got to see all walks of people in all different avenues. And that's a good impact on you, right? A lot of people say travel. A lot of people say work in different industries. Just try to get around people of a lot of different backgrounds, social, economic, spiritual, all those kind of things. Try to get out there and see what's actually out in the world. And it's back to what I was saying a minute ago. You have all these things that people tell you, but then you go out there and you're like, well, that's bullshit. Like that was their perception. What's actually going on, right? Are this color people horrible? No, actually they're not, right? Everybody's a person. Everybody's actually pretty cool until they show you that they, not their entire race, country, wherever they're from, are horrible, right? You find out that one person might be a bad person, and then they are very clear to you and do it twice, and then you move on to the next person, right? But for me, just getting to see a lot of different people in perspective and to see that the opportunities that I had, I needed to take advantage of. It's the same thing I was telling you a minute ago, Brown. Like, you've got the perfect setup that everyone wants more than anything. And now you must do something with it, right? Now you have an obligation with all of the things that have been provided to you to make something of it, right? And so I was kind of in the same spot. There I was, comfortable, making money, doing well, opportunity, chance to go to college, all those kind of things that other people that I worked with didn't have, right? So that impacted me that I need to do more, right? I need to go do something important so I can come back and help these people later, right? I can help them at the moment, but what the hell is a 15, 16-year-old going to tell a 45-year-old? Nothing, right? I've got no experience. I can tell them, dude, don't spend all your money, build an investment fund, buy things that make you money while you're sleeping. I can tell them all that crap, but it means nothing until I come back later with a bunch of money in a bag and say, hey, here's how you do it, right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of MJ's book is the same way. He went out and did it, and then he wrote a book. He's not like all these coaches that tell you how to do stuff and they haven't done shit. Right. So anyway, that was very impactful for me. I also had some trouble as a kid. I wore corrective shoes. I had my hips replaced, about 20 something years ago. I shouldn't have been able to walk. I had a lot of trouble with those kind of things. I shouldn't have been able to do the things that I was able to do. So every day for me was an opportunity instead of an obstacle. Right. So here I am, I have all these inputs of there's people in the world that aren't doing well, and I have a chance, and I shouldn't have been able to do well, and I have a chance. And then I had a couple of nice near-death experiences in a couple of different areas. Should be dead like 4 or 5 times. Like there's no reason for me to be alive other than maybe God wants me to do something important. So if I roll those 3 together now, that's what pushes me and inspires me and gets me going every day, right? Mm-hmm. Now, 100 years later in life, I'm set. I've got everything I need. My kids are great. Family's great. Everything's amazing. I don't have to do this, but I need to, right? If not me, who? I got to be out here helping people, inspiring people, talking to guys like Brown who are going to be doing what I'm doing now, 40 years from now, helping more people, right? Yeah. So those are the things that inspired me and got me going. What you got? Hammer me. That was too easy. That was a softball.
That was too easy, but it was a nice setup. What are the skills and mindset attributes you value the most?
So I was on a call years ago with a group. We did a Sunday call every morning at 11 a.m. for over 3 years. And while we were doing that, every one of us doubled or tripled our business. Our lives got better. Everyone around us got better and all those kind of things, right? So somewhere in those 3 years, and I don't really remember what it was, I think it was somewhere around 2018, we were on a call one day and it hit me. And I said out loud, hey, what if I give myself some credit? Because I'm an engineer, right? What are we trained to do? Find problems. We're trained to see what's wrong. We're trained to see what's not good enough, right? And I had spent my whole life doing that. And I constantly beat myself up. Oh, I didn't quite get that done. Oh, I didn't get that done as well as I could. Oh, I could have done a little more. And it just beat me and beat me and beat me, right? And so if you start in every day in negativity, you're not going to do as well as if you start every day in positivity and end your day in positivity, right? So that one statement on that one day, I just stopped. And it was cool because everyone else on the call froze for a minute. And like 30 seconds went by where no one said anything. And I was like, wow, that was pretty impactful. And it really changed a lot of us, right? What if I gave myself some credit? So then I started looking at, well, what about all the people I just helped? What about the kids I just coached? What about the people I've paid their bills and they'll never know it? What about the business that I've set up and these people that have lives and can do what they want and can put their kids in school and all those things because of me? What if I gave myself some credit? So then I began to start every day in thankfulness and then every day in positivity. And I was just showing a friend of mine yesterday. He asked me, hey, when was that turn? And we looked back at the growth of business, of my business, and my sales revenue is like this. And then I made this one fundamental difference of opinion, and it's like this. It's like a massive hockey stick in my life. Everything has become positive, amazing, helping. I'm here to help you. I'm here to provide you value. And what's cool is if you provide value, you will never want in life. Now my bank account is full. My life is great. My business is good. I'm no longer chasing money or chasing the how to make everything perfect. I'm happy with what I get done each day. For me, there's a done for the day list. I don't have a to-do list. They're bullshit. Have a done for the day list. What's the big impactful thing that you could do that could change everything and move the needle? Get that done. And then if it's 10 a.m., you leave. Like, go play golf, go do whatever, right? Because you've made an impact. Now, sometimes I don't finish it till midnight, but other days I try to finish it as best I can.
Okay. Would you say that that change in attitude unlocked more opportunities, like it attracted people, like raised your charisma with others too at the same time?
100%, right? I mean, Alex Hermosi has a really good saying. He says, no one's going to support you until you no longer need it. Right? For a long time, you're the only one that's there for you. You're the only one in the big auditorium. There's just one person clapping and it's you. And then once you get over the hump, now everyone's suddenly interested and everyone's there and they were there for you the whole time and they always knew you could do it, which is bullshit. Because most of the time they were trying to sabotage you or keep you from doing it. But if just think about it. If you're positive, if you're infectious, if you're inspiring, people gravitate toward you, right? Because we're all looking for something to get behind. And especially people your age, you are not going to have to want. You're not going to starve. You're in computer science. You'll always have money. You'll always do okay. If you're smart about what you're doing, you'll be fine, right? So all of that's there. So now you guys begin to work into the next hierarchy of needs, right? You've got safety and security, and you begin to look for things like self-actualization and contribution and growth and all those kind of things, right? And so if you can get into that stage, suddenly people begin to follow in behind you and they're inspired and they want to help you and they want to help you get there, right? Not everyone has the ability to communicate the big picture or get everybody excited, but those that do, people want to rally behind, right? They want a cause. People your age want to do something important.
And how did you go about when you create a vision? How do you go about including everyone into that vision?
All right, so that's an interesting one. Well, we could branch in a couple of spots here. I guess the question I would come back to you, Brown, is do we need to include everyone? Right? Because there's an interesting spot I'm at in my business, right? So we're in that little growth curve where now it becomes bigger and a lot harder. And the people that got you here may not be able to get you there.
Yeah.
And, I told my crew not long ago, not everyone's going to ride all the way to the end station, right? Some people are going to get off and that's okay. Some people don't want to go there. They were cool getting to here and now they're going to venture off elsewhere and that's okay. So I guess the first question is, do we need to bring everybody along? What do you think to that? I
feel that if you're trying to do what's best for the company, that you won't. But I'm a person who I don't stick around with just one group of people. I try and meet as many people as I possibly can. So I get around. I don't really, the rule about like the 5 closest people to you are you are the sum of the 5 people closest to you. I don't feel like that applies to me because I don't hang around with just 5 people. I get around. So for me, I would love to bring everyone along, but at the same time, I don't think it's possible because at some point people stop providing value. And what you need in your team is people who provide value.
Well, there's another part, and I give you a bigger calling for a minute, Brown. Okay, so if you were meant to actually change the world and you're going to do something that absolutely does that, let's just think about the people that are doing more for humans now than anybody. I'd throw out somebody like Bill Gates. Dude's curing malaria, right?
Yeah.
Well, how's he getting to do that? He made a couple of $1 billion by changing the way operating systems work and being the leader, the charismatic person that got all that to come together so that we don't have 10,000 operating systems on our computers. We have like 2, right? So I give that to you, and that sometimes you need to be extremely selfish for a short period of time so that you can be very selfless later on, right? For you to make an impact, you need to connect to lots of people and do really well, make a lot of money, and be in a spot where you can help others, right? And sometimes that requires you to not help them for a while, right? You may have to leave them behind so that you can get strong enough and good enough and enough resources to come back and help them later. Okay. So sometimes I'll see people like yourself, and I know like the whole world's preaching inclusivity and including everybody, and appealing to every interest of every person everywhere. I don't think we can be as efficient doing that, at least in your short term, right? When you're 18 to 58, you can't solve everyone's problems. You can't even solve your own yet, right? But if you can build something that's big and amazing, you can come back later and help everyone else.
Yeah. I feel like that applies to like even just like deciding on what kind of idea you want to pursue, right? You can't like solve every aspect of a problem, but like you can focus on a specific portion of it.
Sure.
Like one of my ideas, it's shot out the water right now here at Clemson, but I was going to help the parking development develop a app with like real-time parking availability for each of their parking spots across campus.
Sure.
And that would be pretty impactful because people have been complaining about parking for so long. But yeah.
Parking on campus blows.
I'd say my next question is this is one I'd love to ask. What questions do you ask all the time? How do you stay skeptical of the things that you're taking in as input? And
so the biggest one that I can give you, and I wish someone had handed me, 100 years ago, it's asking the question, what if I'm wrong? It's such an amazing question, right? We do it a lot in leadership in my company. Like we'll throw out all these great ideas and we know they're right, but we stop for a minute and we say, well, what if we're wrong? What if it's the opposite? What if it's this instead? And it gives you a whole different perspective. One thing that you can do, let's say you have a counterpart that you're working with and you guys are coming to blows, coming ahead on a certain subject, stop halfway through and switch sides.
Okay.
One of the guys that I work with, and we started another company, Shane, he absolutely hates this exercise. But every time we do it, it is so impactful and so good because we begin to understand that the other one completely sees our point of view. They just have a different opinion. And now we can get to the truth, right? And the truth is all that matters. It doesn't matter who's right or who's wrong. It's what's the truth and how do we help people.
Yeah.
So that's super, super important. Let's see, I had one other. Let me think about what it was for a second. All right, so the second question for you, and if you're ready to change your life, make sure you write this one down.
Okay.
When you are reaching out to someone, never ask for help. Tell them what you're doing and ask, do you know anyone that knows anyone that can help me? Okay, notice how we just completely changed the dynamic. Now you're not asking them for a favor. You're giving them an opportunity to show how smart they are, how connected they are, how resourceful they are, and how much they can help you. And it's very, very interesting because most often they will come back and say, dude, it's me. Like, what the fuck? Why didn't you just ask me for help? And now they will fight you to help you. You don't have to coerce them. You don't have to trade anything for them. You don't have to make a deal. You just say, hey, man, I'm thinking about doing a parking app. Do you know anyone that knows anyone that can help me? And they're like, dude, I'm a coder. What the hell? Why didn't you ask me to just code the stupid thing for you? Right? And they'll connect you with 3 or 4 other people. It is a super, super powerful question, right? Do you know anyone that knows anyone that can help me? Do you know anyone that knows anyone about this? Right? Super, super awesome. And then if you come back and pair that with what if I'm wrong, you can get to the truth a lot faster. So one of the things I empower you guys in the 18 to 30 range is try to get the decision loops shorter and faster so that you can get 10 years of experience in 1 year. So constantly asking yourself about risk, constantly asking yourself, what if I'm wrong? And constantly asking yourself, who can help me do this? That will get you there faster. If you try to do this on your own, you're a fool. If you try to do this on your own, you're selfish because you can be helping more people with other people.
Are those part of your heuristics that you use?
You'll hear me say that often. Comes up a few times.
That's definitely a lot to chew on. That's some good stuff to chew on for sure. What
do you think your biggest obstacle in front of you right now is? So it's just choosing what to do?
Yes, because I've been contemplating this for like just the past week maybe. But like, if I want to pick an opportunity for a business, right? How can I tell if that business is aligning with the person I want to be, or if it's something that I actually want to do, right? Because I just had a friend that I met a couple of weeks ago who wants me to help him with a bar app where essentially people order drinks, right?
Sure.
But I don't drink alcohol. I'm not really interested in bars. I have other ideas that I feel like would be very, disruptive that I could pursue. They're big ideas, but they're disruptive and I could pursue them. But then there's also like gaining the experience that a bar app would do. But then am I going into like a commitment that I'm going to be sticking with for like a long time? Or is it just an opportunity for me to develop my skills now so I can do those things later? That kind of thing.
All right. This is awesome. And this will take us out here. Okay. So a couple things to think about. You need skills and people need help. So any opportunity to do that helps you do the big thing. Because right now you're not prepared to do the big thing, or you just go ahead and do it, right?
I'm not prepared yet.
Correct. So any opportunity to do anything helps you build skill sets to do the big thing. So if you don't do the little things, even if they don't 100% agree with what you are and your being and all those things, if you see that they are helping people in any way and you don't do them, I would say you're being selfish. Okay. This is an opportunity to help others, make connections, do something big, and gain experience that you can put on the resume to get the next person to come along with you to do something bigger, right? So if you were trying to raise money for your company, one of the easiest ways to raise money for your company is you've already done it once and made a bunch of money. Now, everyone wants to sign up with you, right? If you've never done it ever and you come to me and say, I have the perfect solution, I'm not giving you a shot at that. Why would I take the risk on someone who's never done it before? Sure, it sounds good, but can you show me you've actually done it, right? So again, 18 to 30, you need to get as much experience under your belt as fast as possible, right? So, and also let me back up for a minute and go down this path for a minute. So let's go back to the fork and take another road for a second. Okay. If you are considering doing something on your own at your age right now, that's stupid. Okay. There are a gajillion businesses where the boomers have no succession plan and no one coming to save the business or take it over or take it anywhere. Okay. So you need to look for those opportunities, because the hard part is getting started. The hard part is getting the first customers. The hard part is getting all the initial infrastructure in place. The hard part is figuring out how to provide a product to a customer at a profitable number and doing it over and over and over again. So if you can find a business that's already doing that, you can use that as fuel to help you with your bigger idea. One of the easiest ways for you to do that life-changing cure malaria is to have enough resources, money, and connections to do that. So if it takes you building a stupid, parking app that you don't believe in, or a bar app where you don't drink, but you can help people and help those businesses and create opportunity and make a bunch of money for everybody, that then you can take that experience, connections, and money and go do the big thing, well, that's pretty awesome. Now, with everyone, there is an ethical line in there somewhere, right? Like some people won't work in porn, some people won't work in various things because of their religion. I don't feel like you have to cross that line, right? Yeah. Unless that's the only way to get there. It comes back to the my wife's oldest daughter is looking at going into the police force. So we were having the cool discussion the other day of What would you believe in more? 1,000 killers going free or one innocent person being punished?
Mm,
And it's a great ethical question, right? And everyone's going to have that opportunity in life to do something just slightly shady to potentially save everyone. And the question is where is your ethical line? But to come back to what you were saying in the very beginning, Brown, until you have a bunch of those experiences, you don't know what you're going to do, right?
yeah.
Everyone thinks they know what they're going to do if someone's got a gun to their kids' heads, but what are they really going to do? And they're never going to know until that happens, right? They can prepare for it, they can train for it, they can ask themselves those questions, they can think they're ready for it, but until it happens, who knows, right? So I encourage you to put yourself in those ethical dilemmas and ask yourself those questions over and over, right? My profession, I have to do it literally every day because if I make a mistake, someone could die. So I have ethical questions in front of me, and we have methods that we use in our company, and we'll get 3 or 4 of us together and really talk it through and talk about the risk and talk about the safety and make sure we protect the public, right? And there's certain lines that we do not cross and we say no to. But here's an interesting one as an engineer. Okay, let's say someone comes to me and they're doing something super shady, right? Like we do a lot of flame effects for like performing shows and concerts and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes they're pretty sketchy, right? But the question is, do we turn that person away and they're going to do it anyway? Or do we try to get involved and try to make it better? So this comes back to your bar thing, okay?
Yeah.
Bars are going to keep on. People are going to drink. People sometimes go and don't have a drink. They just eat wings and watch the football game, right? And if you can make their experience better and it helps you gain skills and experience and money and connections to help people more later on, then you're almost obligated to do it, right?
Okay.
How's that for the long version?
That's pretty insightful.
Well, and let me come back and put a bow on it for a second. Okay. So my dad built houses in Mississippi. He was a developer and a builder. And he helped rebuild the state on the coast after Katrina, built thousands of homes, built people their 5th and 6th home, built their kids' homes, right?
Yeah.
He died with negative $38 because he was selfish, because he wanted to run the company his way. He wanted to do everything himself. He didn't believe in paying people lots of money. And just think about the impact he could have made if he had gotten out of his own way and done what was right for the world and his company instead of himself, right? Mm-hmm. My dad built half the state of Mississippi. I own no rental property. Wow, he could have set his family up for the next 100 years just by not being selfish. The opportunity was in front of him, and he didn't take it because he wanted to do what he wanted to do. Right? Mm-hmm. That's boomer mentality. That's their whole generation. That's what they do. I challenge us, Gen X, and you, I guess, Gen A, Gen Z, wherever you're at, to do more. Like, we have to ask ourselves, if not us, who? Because there's so fewer people now, as there were in my dad's age, that each of us has to do more. Because the world still needs what the world needs. And there's fewer of us to do it. So now you've got to ask yourself, if I don't help him with this bar app, who is? If I don't help make this parking app, who is? If I don't go use these opportunities to build my skill level to help people at a bigger scale, who is? Because someone's got to do it. Mm-hmm. And you, come back to the very beginning of this conversation, you have everything you possibly need, Brown. You have every book, you have every resource, you have money, you have parents that support you, you're in college, you have no stress, you have no pressure, you have 168 hours a week. What are you doing impactful? And if the answer is nothing because you're gripped and I want to do the exact perfect thing that's optimum and effective, then maybe you're being selfish. Maybe you've just got to get out there and go fail miserably 100 times as fast as possible. Maybe you've got to find that boomer business that needs to be taken over, that has staff and customers and things that need to continue beyond this person who's thinking about shutting it down. And you've just got to get that going so you can help build the bigger machine of what it is you want to do.
Okay. With that,
how's that for a punch in the face?
That I felt it. Yeah. With that, there's like two main questions I would have off of that. One being the 168 hours in my schedule, right? With me deciding what to move on with, what do I say no to so that I can say yes to the opportunities that I want to take? Like, yeah, that's the question. What things should I say no to so that I can say yes
Gotcha.
to the things that matter.
Really good question. I encourage everyone to do the Tony Robbins Wheel of Life. It helps you kind of really cement your why and what it is you're trying to do and what that looks like. And as you basically set up different areas of your life, like family, finance, job, career, give back, impact, those kind of things, whatever your categories are. And it asks you to rate yourself every week as to where you're at out of 10. And it asks you to sit down and write out what is an actual 10. What does a 10 mean to you in business or finance? Where are you? So that gives you a really clear goal of where you're heading. And then as you're sitting down each week and deciding what to say yes and no to, you ask yourself, what are the 2 or 3 big things I need to do to achieve my goal?
Okay.
And if any of the things that are in front of you as an opportunity are there to help you achieve that goal, put them on the schedule first. Fill in your blocks. Now for you, you have one job, and that's to make a 4.0 and to absolutely crush your classes and to learn everything you can possibly learn to get your degree. That's your first job. Okay.
Yeah.
So everything you do has to support that first, because that will help you open doors to do other things. So even if you want to do 27 other apps and help people, if it takes away from your 4.0, your experience, your learning how to do things, then you can't do that yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you should be able to do something, because how many hours are you taking?
I'm taking right now, I think it's 16 or 17 credit hours.
All right. So let's say it's 16. You need to be spending 3 hours every week for each hour. So if you're not working 50 hours a week on school, then you're not doing your job. Did you hear what I said?
Yeah.
And know damn well you're not working 50 hours a week. Okay. I highly encourage every student in college, especially a technical school, computer science, engineering, any of those kind of technical degrees, work 9 to 5. Set your classes up 9, 10, 11, 12 in the morning. Have a standard schedule every single day. Don't have an 8 o'clock day and a noon day. Screw that. You're going to sleep. You're going to waste your time, right? Work 9 to 5 every day, just like it's a job. And then in the evenings, put a little time into reading material ahead, studying for your tests, getting in study groups, those kind of things, right? That's how you get really good at what you're doing. And you build the habits that you're going to use when you start your career. Because as soon as you start your career, you're going to do the same thing. So if you've been used to doing it for 4 or 5 years, you're already there. The cool thing is, and my sons didn't believe me, but when they started logging their time and their schedule and writing down what they did every 15 minutes for 2 weeks, they began to see, wait a minute, if I just work 9 to 5, I spend less time in school because I'm more focused, and I still have time to go play golf and hang out with my buddies and do intramurals and go party and go to the bar and go to football games and do all those other things too. Because the cool thing about college is it's a little different from high school in that you're not really booked all of the same hours as you were before. You know, in high school, you went 8 to 4, 9 to 5, just to get you ready to be a worker bee. That's what schools are designed for, is to make sheep to work in the real world. And then college, you have a little more flexible schedule, but if you keep those same hours, you will do better. Your grades will be higher, you'll increase, and you'll still have time to do other things.
Yeah.
Now, you'll have a certain amount of hours you need to sleep. You know, if you're not sleeping and you're not healthy and you're not going to the gym and you're not taking care of yourself, then you're not going to be really good at your primary job, which is going to school and making good grades and learning what to do, right? All right. So if you block all that into your schedule first, now you say, well, what other blocks do I have? Well, I have these 3 or 4 other things we want to do. Okay, cool. What are my power hours? When am I really good? For some people, it might be at noons. For some people, it might be at 1 a.m. Now, I've got a buddy who just shifted his schedule from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. He only works those 4 hours now instead of 10, and he gets 3 times as much done. But your power hour onto the 1 or 2 things that you want or need to do or are obligated to do or have the opportunity to do, and crush those during that time, right? Any other extra time you got, make it valuable. Like if you're walking to class, you're listening to a podcast. Try to work out while you're listening to a podcast. Try to work out in a group of people while listening to something. Like try to get 2 and 3 for ones for your time. Try to combine things. Like if you see you could use that app for a project for your class and work on it with some friends, that's a 3 for 1. Most sheep working in the real world barely get 1 for 1 for their time. They doom scroll, watch Netflix, waste all their time, and maybe get a half to 1 for their time. If you're getting a 4 to 1 and they're getting a half to 1, who's getting ahead?
Yeah.
Now, to come back and directly answer your question, what do you say no to? things that take you off path. My son found out, my youngest, that his girlfriend was taking him off path. I was like, how much time are you spending with her? Oh, not much. And we logged it out for a couple of weeks. It was 36 hours a week. That's a full-time fucking job, dude. And now that they've broken up, he's like, well, I should be able to get a 4.0 pretty easy now, right? I'll just put some of that time into school. So anything that's taking you off path, you're going to have to say no to. You will find, especially in big families, that's often family members, especially when you start to make a little money, they're going to come rolling in and want their share for doing nothing. Got to say no. If you have people who are self-destructing themselves, you don't have to go save them. Yeah, I've got a friend right now that's drinking way too much and it's affecting their family. There's only so much I can do. Like, I probably should stop and go over there, but now I'll let people like you down. So I've got to help as best I can. I've got to say no to some of those kind of things. So I think that's the no's, is what's pulling you too far away from the path that you're on to achieve the great things, right? Notice I didn't say it's for things you don't want to do, okay? Because there's going to be a lot of things you don't want to do in life, but you need to do, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to go to the gym, but I'm going to go pick up something heavy, right? I'll give you a minute, comb through your stuff, and then you can come back with your final question.
Oh, final question. Okay. Let's see. And then we could always do another call at some point, right?
Well, and you've got to work on your sales and inspiration ability because you brought 0 people to this call.
Yeah.
How many people are attending Clemson right now? It's like 30,000 or something, and you brought you?
I will work on that for sure. I mean, it is like today is the start of our spring break, so I don't expect like many of them.
I know. Doesn't matter though. Like you said, people can join from a car, a plane, anything else. You also may have to get away from the 18-year-olds and start hanging out with seniors more. They have a little better perspective and see what's going on. I will encourage you, if you're not interning or co-oping or in the program, go sign up immediately. At a minimum, you just need the experience interviewing.
Yeah.
But you also can get tons of experience and some money.
So, okay. I guess what's most important for me right now is setting up the systems that I can rely on to become the kind of person who does big, audacious goals, right? So I've read Atomic Habits. I know what James Clear is saying, and I'm working on that, right? But then at the same time, how do I keep myself on the path, right? How do I keep myself consistent with it?
Let me ask you a dumb question for a second, Brown. Why do you think you're off path? I mean, what says you're off path? You're in school, you got good grades, you're working on all this stuff, you're talking to people like me. Are you going to give yourself some credit? Maybe you're on path, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I do. Like, if I compared myself with other people, right, then I would feel like, oh yeah, I'm ahead, right? I'm doing great.
You've got to compare yourself to you and what you can be, right?
Yeah. So
I have a little poster over here. I created this persona. It's called Leader Zane, and it says, I build strong, profitable businesses. I create people who create people, and I'm healthy, wealthy, and wise. So anytime I'm not sure what to do, I ask myself, what would Leader Zane do right now? Well, he wouldn't scroll on TikTok. He would do a call with Brown.
Yeah.
What would Leader Zane do? Well, he would work on his business, not play video games. What would Leader Zane do? He would go to the gym instead of pounding out Coke and cookies for the next 2 hours. Even though all he wants to do right now is have a 2-liter Coke and a whole entire sleeve of oatmeal cookies, right?
Yeah.
But that's not what Leader Zane would do, so that helps me. Kat Cole, listen to her. She's a really good influencer, and she's a great businesswoman. She helped build Hooters, Yum Brands, and a bunch of other things. Massive CEO. She's now speaking a lot more to help people. But she has a superstar role she uses. So when she comes in each day, let's say she's working as CEO of Yum Brands, she says, if I hired the best person in the entire planet to do this job, and they were the biggest superstar that has ever lived, and they walked in this room at the time I just walked in, what would they do first? And then she just does that.
Okay.
If you were the greatest Brown that you could ever be, and you were doing exactly what Brown needed to do and absolutely crushing the world, what would you do next? And just do that. You're making this harder than it needs to be. You're adding
Yeah.
lines of code that aren't needed, right? You
Yeah.
need 4 lines of code and you're adding thousands and trying to make all these perfect loops and controlling every possible situation that ever existed. Just turn the damn thing on and let the light come on, dude. Just let it go. Go do some shit and come back.
Just go with my intuition. What feels
You
right.
have your gut's there for a reason. And the thing is, it doesn't have enough reps to know what to do yet. So you got to get it in bad situations, good situations, and all situations.
Mm-hmm.
You said you meet lots of people. How many people have you met that are going to help you get where you need to get? Because that's who you need to be hanging out with.
Yeah, I spent the first semester just getting to know a lot of like students on campus, but also getting to know like the Launchpad and entrepreneurs.
Sure.
And now I spend a lot of time hanging around the Launchpad, meeting new entrepreneurs. And just one of them recently came by, and I found his message. Found his message really strong. I found another lady's message even stronger. Actually, her name's Melody Morgan Fox, and I guess that's like the main reason why I've been just like trying to like challenge myself to define my core values, because she has like 4 guiding principles whenever she goes into a business, which is it's vision. Is there a vision there? Is there value in like what you're doing? Is the business profitable? Because if it's not profitable, it won't run in the long run. And then I forget the fourth one.
All right,
But
so
yeah,
here's a cool part to this, Brown, and we'll kind of close out on this little aspect.
yeah.
You have so much shit that you filled your brain with
Mm-hmm.
that at some point consider, and I do this like twice a year. So I read constantly listen to podcasts, constantly listen to stuff.
Yeah.
Just got back from a big business conference, bunch of us in class, training, inspiring, all kinds of stuff. Every once in a while, turn all that shit off and go work.
Just
Okay?
go work.
Just take the best of what you think and go try it out for a little while, right? I have periods where I don't read a sentence and I don't listen to a word. I just work because, all right, I've been told everything that I can possibly fill my brain with. I have all these ideas. I have all these concepts. I have all these tools. I have all these processes. I need to go try them out and see which ones suck and which ones don't, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've got to groove the future of what I'm actually going to do, right? Even in the Atomic Habits book, there's not a step-by-step checklist in there. It's just
Yeah.
some ideas of how to make you better. And until you go try them out in the wild and under stress and pressure, you have no idea if they work. It can be the coolest damn thing ever, but if it jams right in the moment that you need it, it's worthless. But you don't know that yet. So you've got to get out there and create those reps. So I actually encourage, once you guys have kind of a rough core concept, and right now, if I said I need you to code Brown, you could probably put a really rudimentary code of an operating system for yourself together
Mm-hmm.
and just turn it on and let it run for a while. Just do that.
Yeah.
I encourage people to lean into things for like 90 days. Like, okay, for the next 90 days, I'm going to go to the gym at 8. I'm going to work from 9 to 5. I'm going to work on my projects from 6 to 7. I'm going to go out with my friends from 7 to 10. I'm going to sleep from 10 to 7 in the morning. And I'm just going to do that for 90 days and see what happens.
Okay.
Right? And then come back and reevaluate. I encourage everyone to sit down once a year and reevaluate everything in your life. But I do encourage everyone also to sit down once a quarter and go, okay, where am I at versus where am I trying to get and where do I need to course correct?
Okay.
The wheel of life is pretty cool for that because you can kind of watch your chart and begin to see where you are in your finances or your health and whether you need to bring a little time from family over into finance or vice versa to balance out the whole concept is to balance your life, right? So
Yeah.
that, a wheel that has a big slot in it isn't going to roll very good, right? So if you don't pay any attention to your family and you're doing everything else, are you really doing what you could in life? I will say one caveat to that. Like right now, you don't have a wife and kids or family or anybody that you have to support. So you can make that section a 0 and force all of your time, energy, and focus into the other areas so that when those do come online, you're in better position to help them.
Yeah.
Like you can be really hyper focused for a short period. And that's what I'm talking about. Like maybe the next 90 days, just write out a real 3 or 4 line code of how Brown operates and go do that for 90 days and then report back.
Okay. I think that was a very deep session.
Sure. I'll give you this as we go out the door. And this operates for job offers, for romantic parts of your life, for choices in businesses, all this kind of things. Okay. If you have one choice, you have no choice. If you have two choices, you have a dilemma. If you have three choices, you can actually make a choice. But there is a point where you get to 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 choices that you shut back down, right? Yeah. If you walk in the store and there's 350 kinds of the cereal you want, you're not going to buy one. You're going to try to look for Google reviews or, which one's best. But if there's 3, well, okay, I can look at that one and this and all right, I'll try that one. If it sucks, I'll do this one, right? Yeah. So it's the same thing that I'm talking about for your life. Just create a real simple operating system. You have a billion choices in front of you, and that's why you're not doing anything. You're gripped in indecision because there's so many offerings, there's so many choices, there's so much information. Just boil it down to what you know and go work for a little while and then come back. So, okay, what did I learn? Well, I learned I hate this. Okay, cross that shit off. I learned I like this. Cool, let's do more of that.
Yeah.
I learned that this made me a better person, but I hated it. Still going to do more of that.
Yeah.
And just do that for a while. Cloud out all the noise and, listen to inspiring music or David Goggins getting you fired up to get out of your bed and go get some shit done, do those kind of things. The other thing is just go out and help people. How do I help 5 people? How do I connect with 5 people? How do I make 5 people's lives better?
Yeah.
Groovy.
All right. Well, thank you, Zane.
Hey, thank you for your times. You owe me more people on your next call.
I
will do no more calls with just Brown.
I'll have you even come to maybe in person, maybe on a call.
I'm right down the road. I mean, I could shoot up to Clemson. I like it up there. It's cool. It's good. Yeah. Good school. They put out really good engineers. They've got a great co-op program. There's a lot of good connections that come out of that school. So do enjoy it.
Yeah. I'll make sure.
Maybe their football team will be good again one day.
Well, okay, all right. They just have
maybe they'll ever have a decent basketball team. Maybe they'll stop getting beat by Mississippi State in college baseball. Maybe one day.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Just in a couple weeks. It all plays out. Yeah.
All right.
But thank you, Zane. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Anytime, go crush it. Post in the forum that it went good and encourage more people and then drag some more people in. For now, go bust some ass in class and get me some A's, okay?
I will.